Welcome to part 8 of Armchair Chat, October the 6th, 2022. Yom Kippur, glorious day. God's grace is abundantly sufficient for us all. This is the Grace Edition. Listen to me. We're talking about nuclear war here. If you are not ready to meet your Maker, I suggest you get ready. Those of you, though, that are meant to go through the fire like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, if you're standing upon the Word of God and doing what you have been asked to do and you're being obedient, get ready. Deliverance is coming. But if you've been around here dressing, acting, and going back into the world after all these years, or still part of the world and that ain't fell off, and you've been in the church 50 year, 40 year, 30 year, if you've been in the church even more than 2 years and that stuff hasn't fallen off yet, you got to ask yourself what's wrong there. Who do you love, God or the world? Because your works betray you and they show you love the world. Because your works of the flesh have not fallen off. You continue in sin. And you say, oh, Jesus understands and I have an advocate with the Father. No, you don't. That advocate is solely for those truly in. Those who have walked away from sin, who do not go out desiring sin. That advocate is for accidental sin, not purposely sought sin. Yeah. Come ye out from amongst the world, and be ye a separated people. That's what he tells us in his word. You got to have it on the inside. You got to have it in your heart. And if your heart is not condemning you while you out here on a beach, I don't care if you're sitting in a lawn chair, I don't care if you're walking up and down the beach, I don't care if you're taking pictures up and down the beach, I don't care what you're doing. And by the way, all these selfies, that's showing a lot of self-love. You fulfilling the book of Timothy right there. Lovers of self more than lovers of God. I believe that's 2 Timothy 3. Yeah. Pretty sure that's where it's at. It's in there. It's in the 2 Timothy, I'm pretty sure. I think it's in chapter 3. Where it teaches. But here, let's get back into Tucker and I'll go look for that. And I will quote that in just a moment for sure.
Where it goes. Are you shocked by this? Was there a vote on this? Did someone ask your opinion? No.
Hold on. I want you to understand what Tuck's talking about in case you're just coming in on this part a little bit. Let's hear what he says here.
Proxies for the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines and the environmental catastrophe and the economic collapse that will certainly follow. That is true. It's done. So the question is, where does that leave us? And that's the problem. This act leaves us, the United States, with no option but total war with Russia. There is no war. Now, there is no war. We are all in, no matter what that means, no matter where it goes.
Woo!
Are you shocked?
Are you getting fired up? I'm sorry.
Did someone ask your opinion? No.
You're about to be brisk.
But it's been happening for months in slow motion.
You ever felt like
it's
a shish
been hidden
kebab?
from public view by the near total blackout imposed by America media outlets.
I know some of y'all are not finding the humor in this than I am. I told you, again, I have a very morbid sense of humor. And because I totally trust Jesus, this does not bring me one lap of fear. I'm sorry. I'm not afraid of those bombs. What can they do to an angel of the Lord? That is not going to take Michael down. I have Angel Dome. Better than Iron Dome. I'm good.
Probably didn't know any of the details. For example, in March, the Turkish government tried to broker a peace in Ukraine.
Oh, by the by, Angel Dome works during power outages. I don't think the Iron Dome does. EMP age people? Really? Relying on all these electronic devices during an EMP age? Oh, y'all are really intelligent. I'm not even that smart, and I figured that one out. Get ready for the dark ages. Oh, some of y'all want to talk about the days of darkness that are to come, right? Get ready. It's about to get a whole lot bleaker. That's why it's important to have your lamps trimmed and burning. Why? Because Jesus is the light of them.
Right, and they came very, very close. Wasn't reported widely.
Nope.
Ukraine was prepared to guarantee neutrality, meaning it would not join NATO. That's what the Russians wanted above all. And in return for that, the Russian government would withdraw its forces from Ukraine.
Okay, that their peace talk was a farce. Russia was only using that to try to capture the Ukrainian president and his board of leaders. No. Because Zelensky was smarter than that, he avoided it. I say to Zelensky, brava, brava. That was very, very smart. I would not be engaging in peace talks with them like that if I were him, face to face. It'd be much better to do like a totally encrypted FaceTime type thing where they can't get your location. That would be a very strategic and smart thing to do, wouldn't you think? For peace talks in the future.
And that might have been a neat solution. Certainly for the rest of us, the global economy wouldn't need to be destroyed. Nobody would die in a nuclear war.
And I have no clue what I'm talking about, really, because I'm just saying what the Lord said say. And I'm going with it because, yeah, I'm a total spy. For the Lord, absolutely. And so many of you had no clue. Y'all thought I was just a big dumb that was going to be controlled by you. No. Not today, devil. Not today. Only the Lord controls this temple. He is my king. Jesus is my king.
Negotiations to that point advanced to the stage that Vladimir Putin pledged to meet with Zelensky to sign a treaty. And Zelensky was ready for it too. And
he was signing a treaty. A treaty. I finally understood what Tuck said there. A treaty. Yes, that's what it was. A treaty, because it wasn't a peace treaty. It was a treaty. You are totally right there, Tuck. Because it was a sham. It was a farce. It was a lie. It was a deception meant to lure them into a place to trap them and imprison them, torture them and kill them and take over the whole Ukraine. Zelensky, I tell you, man, if your faith is truly in Jesus and you truly trust Him, seek Him deeply in prayer, worship. Don't bring in the stupid graven images and the shrines. No. Them stupid little statues of Mary the Mother. Them have nothing to do with anything. It's Jesus and Jesus alone. That other stuff's just garbage. And we're not even supposed to have graven images. For real. So don't do that. Don't bring mockeries into this. You keep it about Him. And you do as He tells you. You don't listen to them. And you certainly don't go into no traps. Be wise in well-doing.
Quoting, "I'm ready for a dialogue," he announced. But sadly...
Remember, they're trying to set up their leaders everywhere. They're trying to set up their leaders everywhere. Dun, 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 dun. They're going to have a little hard time doing that everywhere. Trump, you about ready to go back into office? Well, don't get in too big a hurry. You know, Bernie was promised 3.5 years. You got to finish that out, dude. Like it or lump it. It's what it is. Yeah, I know you're going to come back in as a peacemaker. See you then, Pottis. See you then. I know you're still there. You still there, I know. You wait. You wait till your turn, as it is written. Because you know you're not allowed to overstep that bound.
Zelensky could not act alone. Despite what you may hear on NBC News, Zelensky is not the independent leader of a democratic nation. No, not even close. That is a fiction. Zelensky is a client of the Biden administration, which runs his country.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not a client of Biden anything. It's not Biden. Don't give Pottis glory away. He won't like that. Oh, well, I guess he's allowing it for a time. Huh. How about that? It's not like Jesus as much as he would like to be. Because Jesus is a jealous God. And he said, I'll have no other gods before me. And if you're putting these men, these leaders, before God, you think you got to be involved in politics. And politics is all that's on your mind. You a heathen. That's what I said. You ain't God's. Because what should be on your mind is Jesus 24/7. Yep. How to please him and not this world. Not about just getting for yourself and not just about taking care of your family, because if you trust the Lord, he's going to do all that. I trust you, Jesus. So do that. You know what I'm talking about. I know you're trying to cat and mouse with that witch, but I'm a little tired of that one. It's time to put that to rest, Jesus. Send the fire.
Ideologues within the Biden administration did not want a negotiated peace in Ukraine. They wanted all along, and it's very clear now, a regime change war against Russia, period. So that's what they are now getting. On Friday, Zelensky announced that Ukraine is applying for full membership in NATO on an expedited basis. What would happen if Ukraine were to join NATO? Well, by definition,
NATO.
there would be an immediate...
Oh, that brings me to a prophecy about NATO. Just so y'all know, don't put your faith and trust in NATO. NATO is going to be like a squashed tomato. What do you think is going to happen to NATO? What is NATO? Just so that people understand. Let's make sure you understand what NATO is. The UN is United Nations, right? That means these nations are united together. But what happens when war breaks out in NATO? It breaks apart and there is no more NATO. So guess what's coming? Not only is World War III, the Gog and Magog, beginning of Gog and Magog, the first half, coming, but NATO is going to split apart. It's going to sever. It's going to fracture. And after so many fractures from here and so many fractures from there, because this one's going to say, well, I'm more important than that one, and that one's going to say, I'm more important than that one, and that one's going to say, I'm more important than that one. And I think that NATO should do what I'm saying. They all going to want to be the leader of NATO. And they're all going to be fighting about it. So what's going to happen? It's going to rip itself apart from inside out. And NATO is going to be no more. And then you're going to have all these nations at war with each other. Some will side with each other. See you in the next part.